Hey there, folks. Today we are here to talk about distortion, FL Studio Mobile, and basic stock sound effects. What can you do from scratch? Well, mostly from scratch. In my experience, I have purchased FL Studio Mobile, so I want to talk about what you can do with the basic download. You just paid for it, you got it, life is good. However, you can actually buy some additional packs inside the app itself, which I have done. I bought a few extra little things, but I do want to be clear that everything I'm talking about in this example is coming from FL directly. I have not exported anything, right? I've not imported anything external. That's the words. So yeah, everything in here came from either the base download or from the FL Studio app store inside the app itself. So take that with whatever you will. So basic default sounds is what I'm getting at here. Now I've got two tracks. Track number one, which is an octave apart. So we have it starting on G, ending on G, and then we have track two, which is 1/7 apart by an octave. By that I mean it starts on G, it ends on D, but I separated them by about an octave just to give it a little extra spacing. I like the sound of it, so it is what it is. And a lot of this is going to be subjective because, sound is preference. What you're doing with your music is clearly going to be different from what I'm doing with mine. So all this is if you need something that sounds like a distorted guitar, I found what I think is a pretty decent solution. So how can you make it with basic sounds? Here's what you do first. We'll start with our octave track because the secondary track, this one right here, this one's ready to go. I've got everything locked in, so I'm just going to turn it on and show you how it works once track number one is set. So here's track number one. What does it look like? We'll start off with our mini synth. Now there's three synthesizers. We have the 3X oscillator, we have the groove machine, and we have the mini synth. Mini synth is going to give you more low ranges. The groove machine and the 3X oscillator can kind of go in between low, middle, and treble depending on how you space them out. But when I play with the mini synth, I find that you get more low to mid tones. So that's why it's good to start off with a bass guitar sound. Using the spread octave right here, I just find that right off the bat, this isn't bad. Kind of sounds like a guitar. Kind of. But we can do better than that. Obviously, if we need distortion, because I want a distorted guitar, we already added our distortion in here. And actually, let's just do this in layers. So, bass, distort it. And then just for a little extra cleanliness, let's give it some EQ. EQ just raises up a little bit on the high end and the low end and cuts the middle down a little bit. Very, very minor, but it makes a world of difference. So just by itself, the spread octave mini synth sounds all right, but we can go a little bit farther. And I'm going to turn this off because it's kind of powerful. So let's do, oh, I'm sorry, not the distortion. Let's turn that off. Let's go to the groove machine. Super fun, right? And then the 3X oscillator. Actually, the 3X oscillator, this is one thing I did pay for. Well, it comes with the oscillator, but I am using a custom wave from the chiptune collection. You can get the HQ and the miscellaneous packs. Those automatically come with it, so you can customize. You can see here where you actually pick a custom waveform, and you have a couple to pick from if you don't want to use, sine or triangle or whatever. The chiptune and the hyperpop, especially the hyperpop, I think gives you a lot of good stuff to work with, but for this example, I threw in the chiptune. So, chiptune, synth with chiptune wave with the 3X oscillator, mixed with the groove machine. You can hear the difference. And this is what I mean by the mini synth being a little bit powerful. When you add in those extra oscillators, you can still hear a little bit of difference, but it is subtle, the extra little crunch that it gives you. So with your octave range, this is just, again, an example of one way you can do it. If you don't want to mess around with the 3X oscillator, because I actually didn't really like the 3X oscillator at first, it's growing on me now, but maybe you just want to use two mini synths and two groove machines and a mini synth. The mini synth, like I said, is good for those lower sounds, so depending on what you're going for, whether you want lower, mid-range, highs, whatever, you just got to find a mix of the synthesizer that works with you, but 2 to 3 instruments per track is a pretty good blend, I find. Once you go three instruments or even starting to get more than that, you can start to muddy the waters a little bit and the sounds start to bleed together. So unless you're really good with your mixing, I find 2 to 3 synthesizers the best. So you got your 3 instruments here, distort the crap out of it, EQ it, and boom. Now the reason I added a second layer here with the seventh is just because you'll notice that it just gives a little bit more of a nice blend in my opinion. Then it's just finding what sounds right to you. So you might have to come back in here and like, oh no, I want to get this sample over here, so let's put that in instead. And again, these are things that are going to be very minor as you're doing them, and this is the fun part about sound design is just finding that exact sound that makes it pop. But once you find it, it is so satisfying. So these are, and again, this isn't perfect. I don't know if this is necessarily the right solution for everyone. If you have a real guitar and you can plug in and do this on your own, hey, better on you. I totally get that and I respect that. But for what you can work with and for what you can create with just mixing these synths together, and a little bit of distortion and a little bit of blending, I think you actually get some pretty decent results. So if you're looking for that kind of weird 90s industrial sound, which I'm certainly craving, I think that this is a pretty reasonable solution. Is it perfect? Maybe, maybe not. It's beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but at least you got something to play with. So yeah, that is my experience with distortion in the FL Studio mobile app. I personally am digging FL Mobile. I've tried playing, I tried the free demo on FL Studio on PC. I played with it for a few weeks and I just don't like the feel of the workflow. I appreciate the power. FL Studio has a lot of power. It has a lot of great tools. It sounds better. I'm not going to lie. The mobile does have a little bit more of a, it's not quite as refined. But for what you can get out of it, I find this to be a great experience compared to some of the stuff that I used to play with when I was a teenager, as far as like, back when Cakewalk was something else before it was what it is today. This is way better than the kind of stuff that I had back in high school. So, FL Mobile, if you're looking for something or you're already using it, you got some good functionality. The extra bonus packs, if you want to pay for them, personal opinion again, only buy the packs that come with drum samples because the drums are where it's at. A lot of the samples and sound effects and stuff that you get for instruments, kind of cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some interesting stuff in there, but for what you can do with the synths in here, and I didn't even touch on the super saw. Now, I don't like it, but there is a super saw as well that goes along with like the oscillator and the groove machine. So if you really want that saw wave effect, you can do some crazy stuff in there. And there's also a transistor bass, which in my opinion is not worth it, but it's free. So hey, maybe you like transistor bass. I don't know. I'm not here to judge. But yeah, I've already ranted a little longer than I expected to. Thanks for your time. God bless. Take care, and hope that you learned something fun about guitar distortion there. Enjoy yourselves. Take care. Bye.